where we just gather around and we get usually two mental health professionals, or sometimes we do nutritional health professionals, and they come in and literally, empower us with lots of information. That you usually have to pay for. But we are fortunate enough to have these wonderful ladies to actually come in and talk to us and facilitate discussion. It's empowering both to learn information about how we can maintain and take care of our mental health, and then also just to build the friendships, the sisterhood, the camaraderie as we're all navigating this life. So we hope you all enjoy this session. We have two amazing facilitators again this year, but we will introduce them a little bit later. First and foremost, want to start off by giving you just kind of a layout of our agenda today. So you have been welcomed. Then the next, we're going to go around and kind of meet the 3G board members, and we'll have a quick icebreaker. Don't get nervous, y'all. It's real easy and fun. And then we will introduce you to our facilitators, and then we'll go right into our sessions. And there will be time throughout the entire time together for you to ask questions. You can also put them in the chat. We've got folks monitoring the chat, so if you feel more comfortable there, or put comments in the chat, share emojis, whatever you want to do, just make yourself at home here. Be very comfortable, while definitely it is a presentation, and we'll have two presentations today at the same time. We want you guys to get as much as possible out of the session, so feel free to be yourself. This is a safe environment here. So first, I'll introduce you to our 3G board members. As I said, I'm Nicole Walker, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Miss Ashley Ballard, as well as our treasurer, Miss Anita Mallon, and Miss Victoria Wedge, our director of fundraising. So with that, let's go ahead and get started into our icebreaker. Ashley, I'm gonna turn it over to you to kind of walk us through that.
Okay, hey everybody. So this is just a fun icebreaker that I found just to get to know each other. You are going to pick this or that. I want to say you have to pick this or that instead of both, but you guys be the main, pickers for that, for my lack of words. Nick, is this just one side or it's a few sides?
It's a few
Okay.
slides.
So you guys can go ahead and put in the chat. You can come off mute, raise a hand, whichever. I can't see anyone. Nick, I don't know if you can.
I don't see hands. Feel free to come off mute or pop something in the chat.
Yeah.
So for the first one,
Okay, beach tea casual.
Beach.
Mhm. Beach.
agree.
Yeah, beach.
Oh, so we're saying in a proper order. So if we're doing it in order, are we just doing it one at a time,
Let's
Nicole?
do it. Yeah, we can do it one at a
Yeah,
time.
we're gonna do it one
Okay.
at a time. So number one, beach or pool?
Beach.
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 Pool.
Beach.
I heard one pool in there.
It was
Come
me,
on.
pool all day.
It's a couple in the chat too. There's a couple pools.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna move on to number two, coffee or tea?
Coffee all day long.
Tea, absolutely.
Coffee, lots of cream. All day.
I'm a coffee girl.
Yes, coffee.
Let's hear it for tea.
And number three, fancy or casual?
Casual.
Casual. Casual.
Casual.
Comfort over everything.
Yes, leggings and
Comforting
sweatshirts.
Fancy.
We will be
Really
talking
cute.
about some rest today. So yeah, casual.
I heard somebody said we being cute.
Cute and comfy.
Fancy. Mm.
All right, we'll go to the next one.
All right, movies or books?
Books.
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 Absolutely, but movies.
Movies.
I like
So,
movies.
if you want to get to know me, I am both, but I prefer to see movies before books because sometimes I read the book and it ruins the movie. And
Big
sometimes
facts.
the movie is good and then I read the book and it's even better. So,
Big facts.
yeah. Stay in or go out?
Out.
Out. Out.
I'm shocked.
Kids, you gotta get away from those kids.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'ma stay in. All right, summer or winter?
Summer.
Summer all day.
Winter.
Like the
Summer.
snow and ice.
Winter.
I heard of winter. Is it because of Christmas?
Yes, it's because of Christmas and because it's no bugs and no allergies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
Yes.
get
I really wanna say
snow
both
and
now.
ice.
Ah,
I think I'm
all
both.
right, let's hit that next slide.
All
Nick.
right.
Oh, waffles or pancakes?
Waffles.
Waffles.
Pancakes.
Pancakes.
Waffles.
Pancake. Yeah, I like that.
I'm not a breakfast girl.
That's why you do it for brunch.
Right, exactly.
There you
Throw some chicken on that waffle and I'm a waffle girl.
Okay.
Red wine or white wine?
White.
Sweet
White.
red wine.
Both.
Sweet red.
Ooh.
Sweet red.
White.
White.
Or
White,
rosé.
unfortunately.
White.
I'm not sure.
Rosé.
White wine.
Pinot Grigio.
I wish it
all
was
right.
red.
Night owl or early bird?
Early bird.
Early bird.
Night
Early
owl all the
bird.
way.
Early
Night
bird.
owl.
Early bird.
Early bird.
Night owl. All right, we have another slide, Nick. All right, here we go. Ooh, chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate all day.
What are we talking
Vanilla.
about? What are
Right.
we talking about?
The ice cream
Are
or
we talking-
Ice cream or
What
cookies,
you
though.
talking about?
Yeah.
Ice cream?
That's true.
No matter what, it's chocolate
I like
for me.
vanilla.
Well, give me chocolate.
Okay, context is needed. I do prefer vanilla ice cream, but everything else is chocolate.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Vanilla ice cream, chocolate, everything else.
Yeah.
Chocolate
Agreed.
cake, chocolate.
Yeah.
Yes, vanilla
Yeah.
ice cream.
Ice cream? That's too plain. No.
Right. Well, no, there's other things involved. But if I had the choice,
Mhm.
brunch or dinner? Brunch.
Brunch.
Dinner.
Dinner.
Give me
Brunch.
brunch. Because you get it all in brunch.
Pizza or tacos?
Pizza.
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 Both.
Taco.
Tacos.
Tacos. I have tacos right now.
I haven't had a taco in so long.
I can't see the bottom one. Nick.
Cats or dogs, yeah.
Cats or dogs?
Oh,
Dogs.
Dogs.
Absolutely.
All about that dog life.
Yeah.
I'm
someone
allergic to
else's
pet dander.
dogs.
There
Someone
you go.
else's
I like
dog.
that
Someone
one.
else's dogs, exactly. Indeed.
Someone else's dog, yes.
All right. Well, thank you all for playing and joining in with us. We are now, I'm sorry, let me get the share back on the screen. We're gonna go ahead and introduce our facilitators for the morning. And can you guys see my screen? Perfect.
Yes.
So we have our first facilitator is Miss Colleen Blackston. And as some of you may have heard or may not know, she and I actually go way, way back. We have known each other since 7th grade. So I am particularly proud of her success and to see her where she is now and to know where we started out with as just kids. I'm super excited and proud of her and her success in her career. So to introduce her to you all, over the past decade, Ms. Colleen has provided counseling and treatment to families, parents, children as young as 2 years old, all the way up through adulthood. She facilitates support groups for survivors. She's also worked with abuse intervention groups. She specializes in treating PTSD, depression, anxiety, adjustment disorder, grief, as well as supporting high achieving professionals. She has numerous projects that are in the work, which includes children's books, which sounds really exciting and fun as well. She has her own practice, and overall, she's just a beautiful and wonderful, very caring and nurturing person. So I think you guys are going to be really fortunate to hear from her today. Both of our facilitators, believe it or not, are highly trained and skilled. So definitely, as I mentioned in the intro, people literally pay for these services that we're getting here today for free. So really appreciate you, Colleen and Jasmine, for agreeing to come and impart to us today. So our second facilitator is Miss Jasmine Wedge, and she is a school psychologist. You deserve a salute just for that, dealing with our children. I have children, and my hat goes off to anybody that deals with children. She's a school psychologist that has a passion for supporting young minds and shaping positive mental health outcomes. She's a graduate of Bishop McNamara, PG County, whoop, whoop, Bowie State University. I think we have some Bowie State grads on here today, as well as Howard University. She spent the last 14 years working in Southeast DC, helping students build resilience and reframe challenges. And before entering the field of psychology 4 years ago, she taught at St. Thomas More Catholic Academy. And that's where she kind of got her interest in the mindsets of children. And that passion continues to guide her work, empowering students to think beyond their current circumstances and and realize their full potential. And outside of work, she enjoys dancing, crocheting, and traveling. So welcome, Ms. Jasmine and Colleen. Thank you all again for agreeing to be our facilitators this morning. We're going to start off with Ms. Colleen Blackston first, and then after her presentation, we will switch over and hear from Ms. Jasmine Wedge. Ashley. Now I'll turn it over to you, Colleen.
Okay, well, today's presentation is entitled Finding Your Balance, and thank you for this wonderful introduction. We can go ahead and get right into the next slide. And because it was such an amazing introduction, you can save me just a few seconds because we can skip right over this one because you said all the things, and thank you for that, Nicole. So jumping right into what is chaos, a lot of times when we are in a state of chaos, we look on the outside like a lot of these images here that you see here on the screen. And we also feel this way in the inside, like our world is on fire. We may feel like our head is about to explode. Which direction do we go? We don't know. Next slide. Here are some synonyms and some adjectives that describe really what chaos is. And really it's being in a place of feeling overwhelmed, unstable, ungrounded, not knowing how things are going to turn out. And when we really think about what anxiety is, it's really ruminating and finding ourselves in some ways maybe even obsessing over how something is going to turn out, how it may or may not turn out, but really feeling out of control and powerless. Next slide. So in preparing this presentation today, I really wanted to take myself back to a place where I felt it was the most chaotic. And my mind automatically went back to COVID. Here's this virus, we don't really know where it came from. It's affecting different people in different ways. It's the social distancing piece, and we're all glued to our devices and the TV as we're literally watching this uprising happening, in our country. Next slide. So as I'm missing my family, I want to be outside, but I want to be safe. I had this grand idea. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get a bike. So I went on a Facebook Marketplace. I found a bike for a pretty good price. Next slide. And I rounded my girls up, my sisters and my friends, and I said, we riding out. We were going outside. And so whoever came up with that phrase that said it's just like riding a bike, get back on there and you'll know exactly what to do. It's going to come back to you just like that. They lied. And I don't know if they lied to you, but they lied to me. Because after 25 years of not being on a bike, I really had to do my work to find my balance again. Next slide. And so that's really what we're going to be talking about today. As we were going for this ride, it was this beautiful metaphors that were forming in my head with the parallels of finding my balance on this bike and really finding my balance in the midst of chaos. Next slide. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on this slide, but let's really quickly go over the definition of balance, which is going to really be an even disbursement of energy and weight and an effort to remain upright. And so we're going to go over most of these on the upcoming slides, but I really want to start with the one in green, the basic needs. And when we think about our, if you can go right back, yes. If we really think about our basic needs, it's important. And when we say basic needs, we're talking about food, shelter, water, clothing, and feeling safe. If we don't have those basic needs met, it's almost as if we're trying to find our balance on a bike and the tires are flat, or the chain is popped. It's not working. We don't have the foundation of what we need. So I want to start this presentation off by saying, if you don't have these basic needs met, I want you to really lean into the resources that we have here in our area. If you're in the Maryland area, you can dial 211, and there is a huge database of resources where you can call them and they'll say, hey, I need something for mental health. I need a shelter. I need clothing or food support or anything like that. And they'll be able to really point you in the right directions. But also think about if you're using perhaps your doctor, your school, your church, just think about what is right here that you can reach out to get some of those basic needs met. And we'll talk more about the other needs that you can then build upon those needs to continue to thrive. Next slide. So on my second ride, I found myself taking on this ambitious hill that I didn't realize was that steep and that curvy until I was already halfway down and too far to turn back. So as I'm struggling back up the hill, this kind gentleman on rollerblades stopped me and gave me this really pivotal piece of information where he said, if you're trying to find your balance, be careful where your head is placed, because where your head goes, the body follows. And that immediately made me think about our self-talk. We hear people say all the time that I can't control my feelings. And I kind of get where people are coming from with that, but there's more to it than that. Because what we can control is going to be our thoughts. And I know that that's more than a notion. Our thoughts in our brain is really like Grand Central Station, where there are, thoughts coming in every millisecond, where we're getting data in, we're interpreting, we're considering our safety and all these types of things. But when it comes to our thoughts, it's really about what we allow to really grow roots and where we really allow our thoughts to rest. Our thoughts control our feelings, and then our feelings are going to subsequently impact our mood and our behavior. So if we can really, really be intentional about where we allow those thoughts to rest, that's going to be really important. And then we're going to work on gently challenging those thoughts. And so that may be if we have a teacher that we are not, that enthusiastic about, and we may feel as if they're treating us a certain way, we may want to gently challenge that thought and say, well, is she treating me a certain way, or am I noticing this behavior with other students, right? Or is she treating me this way because I was late to class, right? Or is there maybe something going on? Is she just having a bad day because I know what it feels like to have a bad day? So when we just kind of open up the perspective just a little bit, it allows us to kind of shift that energy. I'm not asking you to avoid or suppress or invalidate your feelings. What I want you to do actually is to note the negativity. And that means that you may be able to take note of what you're feeling, and then later on in the evening, you may have some time to journal, or if you're seeing a therapist regularly, this is something where you may say to your therapist, hey, I noted this information down in my journal. Is it okay if we unpack this experience that I went through earlier in the week? I want you to repurpose that energy. So if we are feeling like something's happening with this teacher, we may then say, let me use this as my motivation to hurry up and be done with this class so that my weekend can start. Or I want to do well in this class because I don't want to sit in front of this teacher again or run the risk of having to take this class with someone that's even worse than my experience with this one. Next slide. So being on the bike, I was really able to recognize how vulnerable I felt and how many things were beyond my control. If you really look at this image, you see this young lady on the bike, and then look at the car directly behind her. For her, and I'm hoping she has a helmet on, but we'll just assume she does. So for her, she just has a helmet on. But in that car, likely the safety belt is on. You got airbags. You got this cage that you're protected by steel or aluminum, whatever cars are made of. But yeah, being on that bike, it made me really think about how vulnerable I felt. I remember being on the bike and my good girlfriend that was in front of me, she saw a deer in the woods and she automatically, and you can go to the next slide actually, she slams on her brake because she sees this deer in the woods and she's excited about it. I don't know she's braking, so I almost run into the back of her. And so I'm just like, whoa, you almost killed me. But it made me really think about when we were children, we didn't have an issue. We would ride out, it would be groups of us riding. We never ran into each other. We were always just being very mindful of just being on our bikes. It was something we were just naturally trained to do as children, where we're watching for speed, we're ready to swerve, we're going around. We didn't sit down and say, here's the hand signal and, let us know if you're about to stop. It's just something that we were able to do as children. As children, we're always having to kind of adjust because we're at the mercy of adults in our life. We're constantly having changes that's happening with our schedules and changing different teachers every year, and maybe even seeing different teachers multiple times a day. As adults, we're more baked into our structure and our routine and things that make us feel safe and having a plan in place. And so what I want to really challenge us to do as we continue to mature and age is to practice the skill of just pivoting just a little bit over little things, saying yes to things that you may not ordinarily say yes to, or challenging yourself to do things in a slightly different way, or recognizing and embracing your ability to pivot when life gives us that opportunity. I also want you to be mindful of your tunnel vision. When we feel like we're in the midst of chaos or conflict, as our minds, we automatically lock in as what we see as that threat. That's a trauma response. It's a way of, if I can glue in and lock in on what's happening in front of me, I won't let it out of my sight. I won't let it out of my line of vision. So I'm waking up thinking about it. I'm going to bed thinking about it. I'm talking about it. I'm ruminating. I'm obsessing. And so what I want you to then do is to think about opening up that peripheral just a little bit. How many times have you been in a position where you've been beyond the chaos and you're like, I thought my life was going to explode. I thought my life was over. That seems so much bigger than it was now that I'm looking back at it, right? When we are able to take in other considerations, if we're able to take in other people's perspectives, if we're able to just challenge whatever is happening just a little bit, what it does is it allows us to scale whatever we're going through. It scales it down to size so that it may appear a little less big, a little less scary, and then we get to be a bit more curious about ways that we can better support ourselves to find a resolve to get through whatever we're going through. Last thing on this slide, but I really want to encourage you to honk your horn. If I had a horn on my bike that day and my friend tried to take me out, I would have been honking saying, hey, get out of the way. And in terms of about here today, the horn is going to be assertively communicating your needs. Assertively communicating means that we are being respectful to what our needs are and what we're feeling, while also being respectful to someone else. And that's really going to be an I feel statement. And it's really simple. It's a simple recipe. I feel, when you, in the future, I'd appreciate. So if we felt like we were thrust into chaos at work because last minute our supervisor sends us a assignment that's due and it's 4 o'clock on a Friday and we get off work at 5 and we already have another major project in the works. A quick example of that I feel statement may be, I feel overwhelmed when you send a project and I don't have a clear understanding of which one's prioritized, this project I'm working on or the one that you sent. In the future, I'd appreciate a little more directives so that I can make sure that I am presenting the best project in a timely manner. Okay, next slide. So in terms of protecting ourselves on our bike, if we're on a bike, we're going to have these helmets on. I have a child that just learned to ride his bike and he was too cool for it, but I wanted to put him in like elbow pads and knee pads and all the nine, the bike without training wheels because he might kill me. He knew how to ride with the training wheels, but now he really riding. But shout out to Titan. But now, he's out there and he's doing this thing. We can go to the next slide. In real life, though, when we're thinking about our layers of protection and how we're protecting ourselves, the first thing is too big to even fit on this slide. And I think we all know what that is. And so my first layer of protection is going to be my faith. It's important, and that kind of also goes back to that original slide that I had talked to you guys about. And there was a red column there that was saying the need for a higher protection. Part of the protection is going to be able to recognize that whatever it is that we're experiencing and going through, we're going through something that's bigger than us. We're going through something for a reason. And again, for me, that's going to be my faith. Other people have different beliefs and values, but some type of a connection to recognize that what it is that we're experiencing is larger and more meaningful than what we may be able to understand live and in real time. My next layer of defense is going to be me sitting with my own therapist. Yes, therapists have therapists. And I have this on here twice, not only because I'm biased and I think that everybody could benefit from therapy, but also therapy doesn't look like it used to look. Before, somebody would have to always come in and sit on the couch to receive services. And now you can be sitting in the comfort of your own home on your own couch, and you can bring your therapist into your world because of the virtual thing. That was one of the good things that did come from COVID. Another layer of defense, though, is going to be what we're eating, what we're drinking, what we're putting into our bodies. Are we eating clean? Could you imagine being in the midst of chaos? And I do imagine, I'm sure we all can imagine, because the one thing that kind of goes out the window is going to be caring for ourselves in all the ways that we should. And so I don't want to think about my stomach is doing something wild and I'm gaining weight and my clothes aren't fitting. And now I'm adding something else on top of everything else to be stressed about. Versus if we are leaning into what we can control, what we can manage, what we can manage is trying our best to eat healthy, even in the midst of chaos. Same is going to be said for movement. That's something else that we're going to be able to control as best as we can. And as we're working out, we're decreasing, stress hormones and our cortisol levels. And what we're doing is we're actually opening up positive endorphins to allow us to feel better, to stabilize our mood, that will promote a healthier sleep. And when we're getting at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep each day, we're recharging, we're allowing the brain and the body to rest and heal itself. Could you imagine? I'm sure we've all been there when we think that we plug our phones up and then we wake up and we realize, oh, I got 15% for the entire day, right? How am I going to get through my day with 15% of my battery? Well, the same is going to be said, we don't get enough rest. And so when we're not getting enough rest, we're waking up in a deficit. And we may have increased brain fog and irritability. We may feel sluggish. And so we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success. When we're in the midst of chaos, what we really need to do is lean into that which we can best manage and control. We want to make sure that we're regularly meeting with our doctors. And I know that it can be really anxiety, inducing to sit in front of a doctor and not always know what they're going to say or what a prognosis may be. But it also can give us another layer of confidence and empowerment in knowing that we're taking care of our mental health, we're taking care of our physical health, we're eating clean, we're getting our rest. And I just saw her a year ago. So anything that may come my way, I'm feeling a bit more empowered and in control because I can catch it early, or there's a plan for that. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. So in my ideal world, my bike would have one of those cute little baskets like you see like on the Hallmark movies. And I would probably put all types of little things in there that I would want to bring along my way. And that's how we really need to think about our day-to-day life. We need to anticipate our needs and really think about what we need to carry along with us. Always packing a sweater or something in case things get too cold and we need to, make sure that we're comfortable. I bring my bottle of water everywhere I go. I bring snacks because I get hangry. And so I have to anticipate my needs because I know when I'm getting hungry, I'm not going to be the best person to be around. I also want you to plan ahead and thinking about if it's a busy day or a busy morning, you may not have a lot of time. And you may know that you don't do great in a time crunch. So if you plan ahead and prep your meal ahead of time, I call that kind of a nod to your future self and for planning for your success. Leaning into healthy options. And in terms of food, that may be going to the grocery store, meal planning, meal prepping, or at least grabbing everything that you need so that if it's at the end of the busy day in terms of work or school, you know that you already have things on deck versus, I don't even know what I'm going to cook. I still got to stop. Let me just stop at Taco Bell. I feel guilty because I've stopped 3 other times this week. And then you're on this shame spiral versus, not to self, I've already planned ahead. Continuing to lean into healthy options is also going to be what we're consuming, not just through what we eat and we drink, but also our content. So thinking about the doom scrolling on social media or even your television content. If life already feels like it's in a chaotic space, if we're turning around watching Love is Hip Hop and Housewives and that type of thing, what we're doing is we're continuing to feed that chaotic monster versus what would it mean to be able to give ourselves a reason to smile and laugh. So we're turning on old Martin episodes or Living Single or Friends. Everybody loves Raymond, but we're giving ourselves a reason and an excuse to smile. Also, give yourself comfort. Some of my clients sleep with stuffies. They sleep with full body pillows. And I've even had some that said that they like to put a little dab of lavender essential oil beneath the pillow so that if they wake up and they're in distress and they can't get back to sleep, they like to flip it over, take a little whiff of the fragrance, and it helps them to feel calm and relaxed and taken care of. And eventually they're able to get themselves back to sleep. Next slide. Get yourself some riders. I cannot stress that enough. And I know that that is more than a notion. I think the one thing that we do not talk enough about as women and as people is going to be how challenging it can be to maintain and make friends the older that we get. And so I want to encourage you to continue to find ways to network, build rapport, make small talk. One of the other beautiful gifts that my children gave me beyond themselves was the ability to connect to new friends. And so by me leaning into these wonderful faces I was seeing at the sporting events and seeing at the daycare, these are some of the women that are the absolute closest in my life now. So being open to making new connections. Next slide. I just want you to think about enjoying the ride. One of the most beautiful moments on that ride was it was this flat road. It was just serene. That was the closest that I felt to flying on my own. And my legs were able to just kind of coast. And I didn't have to pedal, I didn't have to pump. It was just beautiful. And I got to just take everything in and really breathe in that moment. And for me, that was a moment of gratitude. We have to allow ourselves to rest in those flat places, even if it's momentary. If life is giving you a small moment of just riding home and you haven't picked up the kids yet, or I got this paper in and the next thing isn't due, but really finding the moments to rest up. I also want you to find moments of gratitude. And it can really be, I'm just thankful for this breeze in this moment because it's hot outside. I'm thankful that this food is exactly what I needed it to be because I'm so hungry and it's just delicious, right? I needed that laugh. I needed that hug. And then the one thing that we know is that life is going to give us heals. That is inevitable, right? And so I really want you to recognize, even in the midst of the struggle, even in the midst of a heal, and the heal is really going to be testing our endurance. Part of that gratitude is going to be, I took that heal on in a way that's much different than when I would have taken the same heal on a year ago. And so for that, I am proud. There was a quote that says, when our back is against the wall, there is the moment where we can really measure our success and see how much we've grown. So I want you to be able to really check for your progress and also create the progress that you want to see live and in real time. Next slide. So I am almost done, but I do want to just give you a helpful tidbit that I hope will be a takeaway. I want to introduce you to something called EFT tapping. Tapping has a lot of positive benefits. I would love to tell you more about it, but for the purpose of today, we're going to talk about using tapping as a grounding technique, okay? So first place we're going to tap is going to be the top of our head, really a little bit behind the top of our head, so where a baby soft spot would be. So we're going to tap there. We're going to tap the corners of our eyebrows, corners of our eyes. Just beneath our eyes, there is like a little divot that's pretty sensitive. Beneath our nose, beneath our lip, but above our chin, and our collarbone. Okay, and if we had lotion, we could even add some aromatherapy to this. And lotion would even be if you used a fragrance that reminded you of something. So if you love the fall and it reminds you of just all the wonderful holidays, you might want to have some pumpkin spice. Again, calming is going to be lavender and that type of thing. So you would use a lavender fragrance. But if you had some lotion, I would encourage you to put some on so we can kind of add a little bit of a aromatherapy aspect to this. But for the purpose of today, we're going to focus on my favorite area, which is going to be beneath the eyes. And if you feel comfortable, I want you to close your eyes. If not, that's okay. You can find an area in your space where you can zone out to a space on the wall or maybe a space on the floor and just allow your eyes to zone out. And so in this moment, I'm just going to speak to you and I just want you to answer in your mind. So in this moment, and we're tapping. In this moment, I want you to tell yourself thank you for allowing yourself to be here today. It is a Saturday morning and you could be anywhere else. So tell yourself good job. Tell yourself one reason that you were proud. Tell yourself that in this moment, you were doing the best that you can and that it's enough. Check in with your body and ask yourself, is there anything more that I need? How are you doing with your water? How are you doing with your physical movement? What's something that always makes you smile when you think about it? What's something you'd like to do that you haven't done in a while? What would taste good in this moment? How can you allow yourself access to that in moderation? Once more, I want you to thank yourself for being present in the moment. And whenever you're ready, I want you to allow yourself to allow your hands to slow down until your hands are gently hugging your face. And then whenever you're ready, you can regain us here in this space. We can go to the next slide. And really quickly, the tapping is really great because it allows for us to ground and soothe. So this is something that's great right before bed. This is something that may be good even if you're about to go into a meeting. Some of my kids, they like to do this because it feels like a hug. And when we do it on both sides of our body, it's called bilateral stimulation. And what that really does is allows both hemispheres of the brain to communicate and process, and allows the body to calm. Okay, but I want to thank you all so much for going on this ride with me this morning. Here's all my contact information. I would love to hear from you. I would encourage you to share this information with anyone that may be able to benefit from my services and care, whether it's an individual or perhaps even an organization or a community event that may be able to benefit from my expertise. But thank you, enjoy the ride, and enjoy your weekend.
Wow, thank you so much, Colleen. That was super empowering, and the tapping exercise was great. It's everything. Um, all right. Let us go ahead and move on to Miss Jasmine. Ashley's gonna get the presentation up. If anyone, like we said before, if you have any questions, you saw Colleen's contact information, by all means, please feel free to reach out to her. If you weren't able to get it, reach out to us. We're happy to share it with you as well. But if you have any questions or comments or anything, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll make sure we get around to those after the next presentation. And Miss Jasmine, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Jasmine. I'm a school psychologist. I am a god sister of one, a godmother of three, a chosen auntie of six, and a teacher, dance teacher, coach, psychologist, and all that good stuff to about 400 students. I love working in Southeast. I love big behaviors. I love big feelings. I love learning disabilities. I love working with kids that have challenges. And for some reason, they like talking to me. So I'm all right with it. Next slide, please. All right. So outline. I want to talk about what thriving looks like, a healthy environment for your mental state and for your emotions, warning signs of some really sensitive but important things that our kids go through that will more than likely show up either in them or in someone that they know. And then there's a few things to keep in mind, and then some resources. Go to the next slide for me. So what does thriving look like? I asked some parents, I asked some coworkers, I asked some students what they think thriving looks like. And then I also went to Google. So go ahead to the next slide for me. And I found this page that I thought was really good. It was an article written by someone named Alyssa Hunt, and she highlighted in her article 7 things that a thriving child looks like. So they smile, and they're excited about what day-to-day activities look like. They have positive self-esteem. They have good sleeping habits, a healthy appetite. They enjoy socializing to some extent because everyone isn't a people person, and that's okay. They engage in in-person friendships. This is the day of technology, and it's hard to get a lot of children to interact with actual people. They are on Roblox and have these huge personalities online with people that they've never met. And lastly, they handle setbacks well. Next slide, please. Obstacles that they face. We forget sometimes that we were children. We forget sometimes that we were teenagers. And what I hear a lot of at work amongst my coworkers is, what are you stressed about? You have nothing to be stressed about. You are a child. All of your needs are taken care of. What do you mean? You are fine. Move on. We'll be okay. But we forget that we felt uncomfortable in our bodies once. We forget that we care very deeply about being in a certain friend group, looking a certain way, having friends, being confident in yourself, and easily embarrassed. I know I was easily embarrassed as a child, so I would often retreat. I didn't want other people to see me. I was nervous about what people would think of me, to the point where I didn't want to speak that much to others. I had a hard time meeting new people. Once I met somebody, you were my friend, that was it. I wasn't interested in too many other people. And as adults, like, we know that life will move on. We know that they will grow. We know that they will learn, and the things that completely freak them out now will probably not even be a memory later on. But right now, it is so important to them. Their stressors, their feelings, the emotions they go through, the people they interact with, it's so important. I'm in elementary school, so 5th graders have boyfriends and girlfriends. They try to do some adult things that aren't too great, and they definitely have a bit more experiences than we probably would have thought that they have. Next slide, please. So mentally, the way our brain works, things that help us out mentally, organization and routine, because that could be 2 very different things. Scheduled grace, and something that you're doing should definitely be fulfilling to you. Next slide. So organization and routine go hand in hand. However, it takes out a lot of the guesswork. So for parents or people that are guardians to children, it can be difficult because you don't know exactly what your child is going to do. They have their own things in their heads, their own plans, and all that good stuff. But to teach the organization and to teach the routine right away as soon as possible is best. It's not easy. It's very difficult, especially when you're talking about learning and behavioral disabilities. There are some children that are just going to buck the system because that is what they feel like doing. They don't hate you. They're trying to figure it out. They're not trying to be difficult. They're trying to figure it out on their own. Even if they're not consistent in the routine or in the organization, your consistency will start to build a structure for them. So they'll begin to look for the things that you have been doing. So every day, the first thing you do when you get home is wash dishes. If you come home and don't wash dishes, even if they don't care to wash dishes, they're nowhere near you, they're going to say, "Hey, Ma, you all right? You didn't do the dishes. Let me help." That's what we hope for, but eventually it will come. if you start to set the standard, it will definitely come. Our consistency matters a lot more to them than they will ever tell us. They are annoyed. Oh my gosh, why do I always have to do this? You're doing too much. This is too much. Please stop. I don't need this. I got it. Leave me alone. They need it. They need it. There's a piece of them that definitely has it. I'm not going to say that. A piece of them definitely have the routine in their head, but that consistency will help with so many things down the line. Next slide, please. Scheduled grace. Scheduled grace looks like adding a few extra minutes to your task. So if it will take me 20 minutes to get dressed, let me allot 25 minutes for it. Let me schedule my day. So if it takes me 20 minutes to get dressed, I have 5 minutes to sit, 5 minutes to check in with myself. If I arrive somewhere 5 to 10 minutes early, I can check in with my child. I can make plans for mistakes. Children spill, they take their time. They have to go to the bathroom when you're on that last step about to walk out of the door. There are so many things that can come up with children, and that scheduled grace allows you to not be frustrated or as frustrated, allows you to not rush, and allows them to not feel like something is really wrong. Kids really do internalize just about everything. Oh, I'm so tired of getting yelled at. Why is she always yelling at me? I just had to go to the bathroom. Everybody has to go to the bathroom. Those type of things that take the stress out of everything. And the best part about it is that when you get to your destination and you're in the car and you're with your kid, you can go, hey, buddy, how you feeling? Because a lot of times you don't really get the chance to check in with them in the middle or in the beginning-ish of the day. Now, at the end of the day, before bedtime, or when they come home from school or whatever, it's a great opportunity, but they may need that check-in. How did you feel this morning? Do you like your outfit? How you feel about school today? Are you ready for your test? Are you ready to socialize? And all those good things. So it gives you the opportunity to check in with your baby. Next slide, please. Fulfilling. It has to be fulfilling. Not all of it, but something. Everybody doesn't love school. I was okay with school, but everybody doesn't love school. So we have to find something in their schedule that gives them the sense of fulfillment. So for me, I have what I call my boxes. Are my boxes checked when I'm feeling frustrated or stressed or just not like myself? I check my boxes. I have a spiritual box. Have I read my Bible? Have I prayed? Have I spent time fellowshipping with other believers? I have a social box. Have I gone out? Have I seen my friends? Have I talked to people? I have a, like, I guess a fulfilling box. Have I helped someone else? Do I feel like I'm working towards something that can benefit other people? So they have boxes to fill. Now, sometimes they can fill their boxes by playing outside. I know that's not very common these days, but find something outside, something that your baby likes. Coloring, drawing, something preferably not with something that's electronic, no screen time, because it really does give them a sense to use those other pieces of their brain. At school, a lot of it is very structured, very hard. What do you feel like writing about? Do you feel like coloring? What do you feel like drawing? Let's go for a run. Let's just take a nature walk outside to see what's happening. And that's also another opportunity to chat. But I feel like scheduled time within the scheduled grace and with scheduled time, something has to be fulfilling for them. Life can look like I don't have any say. They don't have much autonomy. I have to get up at this time. I have to wear what my mom pulls out for me. I have to go to school. I don't like school. I come home and I have homework, or I have to help cook, or I have to help clean up, I have to get ready for school the next day. And there's no piece of time for peace for them. And I know as parents, you all run heavy. You run really heavy. You guys organize outings, you organize sports, and then there's your own lives. But even if they are enrolled in some kind of sport or some kind of camp or some kind of something, they still need that piece of peace inside of the home, inside of the house. I need a minute. Just like when you come home and you need a minute, a lot of times when they come home, they need a minute too, because they've also been socializing all day. Even if that minute is right up under you and you need a breather, they sometimes need that check-in. Next slide, please. Emotionally, what feels good, how your brain and your heart are connected. I have one particular student whose mom also works with me, and this little baby likes to be in my space. She's in my office every morning with her friends for breakfast. She comes during aftercare, and her mom asked me once, why is she like this? I was not like that when I was her age. It's a good thing that she's confident. It's a good thing that she's bright and has good friends, but I don't remember being that confident. I don't know how I did it with her, but I'm really happy I did. So our conversation said, well, she feels free. She's free to be herself. She knows that her mom loves and accepts her. She's comfortable in her skin because you gave her that space to be comfortable. How do you like your hair? What do you want to do? What do you want to wear? And you kind of gave her that ability to be who she is and the autonomy to do what she wants to do. Of course, within limits, because they're children, we have to guide them, of course. But there are so many things that we want to harp on that really aren't big deals. And not only are they not huge deals, they also help your baby with their confidence because they feel like they can do something independently. You give her grace. You let her play. If she messes up and does something horrible, she's not terrified to call you. If she gets in a fight at school, she's in trouble at school, the first thing that baby says is, can I call my mom? I have to call my mom because she knows that mom isn't going to bite her head off. She knows that mom is going to listen, take her side in public and deal with it privately after the fact and not embarrass her. Break the rules. The routines and the organization and the schedules are very important, but they should never be more important than what is happening right here and right now. I know that I'm supposed to do this, but I'm feeling really overwhelmed. Can I have a break? I promise you that if your child is under the age of 17, they will not say, I am really overwhelmed and I need a break. I know what this is supposed to be. I know what it's supposed to do, but right now, can we not? I would love to talk because this is what I have going on. They will not say that. You will see it and say, oh, what's wrong? Let's talk about it. No, I'm fine. No, but there's something wrong. There's nothing wrong. I'm fine. You know that there's something wrong because you know your baby. You know. So that's where some of that fulfilling time comes in, where they have their space and their peace to be. And maybe we're not so harsh on the routines and so harsh on the organization rules at that time because they need a bit of the grace. They need that break. Understanding. I can know you. I can know exactly who you are. I can know exactly what you're dealing with and still not understand. I see your habits. I see your routines. I see what you like to do typically, but I still don't really understand you. And understanding only comes with communication. If your communication, or you've realized that lately your communication has been a bit harsh, a bit frustrating because they just not doing the right thing. Every time I turn around, they into something. I ask them to go left and they go right. I ask them to go up, they go down. What are you doing? Come on. But when you say, what are you doing? Are we listening to what they're really doing? Are we giving them that space and that opportunity to say, okay, look, I'm having the time, or I'm just in a really good mood and I'd rather not be bothered with this, because it happens. I always say that I want to call out for good weather. And we know that we cannot call out for good weather most of the time, but a mental health break is definitely needed sometimes. Next slide, please. All right, what leads to emotional wellness? So comfortability comes from acceptance and freedom. Those two work together to bring comfort. Oh, and autonomy, I'm sorry. Acceptance, freedom, and autonomy comes together for comfort. And then for grace is empathy and communication. So that goes back to, even if I don't understand, I could still try to feel what you're feeling and try to identify with what you have happening. And that helps with the grace. You can't often fight something that you don't try to connect with. You see it, you don't like it, you're trying to shift it. But if you don't know the function of their behavior or why it's happening, it will be a head-to-head struggle until someone takes a break and pauses and there's some communication that you can understand exactly what's happening with your baby. Next slide, please. All right, warning signs. Anxiety. Everybody gets anxiety to some level or another. Does everybody have a general anxiety disorder? No. But anxiety and worry and stress and fear, they show up with everyone at some point in time for some particular situation or another. And these are some of the signs for, so emotionally, they'll be extremely sensitive, afraid to try new things. They might worry, have nightmares. Physically, it looks like what they call somatization, where you have a stomach ache or a headache or something hurts, but it doesn't really hurt. You're just trying to kind of avoid something, or you don't know how to say that this is what's really hurting, and it ends up showing up in another body part, and it feels weird, and you're not too sure how to deal with it. They could be easily distracted. They could be restless with decreased appetite, a hard time sleeping. Behaviorally, they don't want to go to school. There's a lot of reasons why we don't want to go to school, but anxiety is a big one because I don't want it to be obvious that I'm different or I'm odd or I stand out or I don't feel smart in my classroom. I don't have it in me to do the work today. A lot of those things. Temper tantrums, that and seeking approval. If you have noticed that they are gravitating towards a new group of people or a different group of people or a different type of person. And it could be that they're seeking approval for something that they don't have. They see the qualities in someone else that they're looking for, be it popularity, be it influence, be it leadership, or any of the things. And they are now gravitated towards that group for those things. Next slide, please. Depression. If you notice, depression symptoms and anxiety symptoms can be very similar, physically at least. So they have a lack of energy, difficulty sleeping, a change in appetite. They could mention self-harm, use of drugs or alcohol. Their body hurts. They are very flat in their expression, or they have a loss of interest in normal activities. Emotionally, it looks like sadness, a low level of self-worth, where kids will start to say things like, oh no, I'm not smart. I'm not that important. No, nobody actually cares. And convince you to be okay with it. They have a hard time remembering things. They feel lonely. Guilt, everything's my fault. If I was smarter, I'd have more friends. Those type of things. Or they could be tearful, so they're crying and not really willing to share as to why. Next slide, please. And signs of anger. So I have quite a few babies that are just angry. They are angry beings just in there every day, not moments of anger, but they are angry all of the time. And it looks like aggression and temper tantrums, shutting down and withdrawal, outbursts of crying, name calling when it wasn't warranted, decreased ability to function during events. So their ability to focus or their ability to stick with something for a while starts to go away. The tensing of the muscles, their hands, their arms, their chest, their teeth, and then more of the somatic symptoms of a stomach ache or a headache, and then suicidal thoughts. I also want to add that there is a large difference between self-harm and suicidal thoughts. There are some people, some babies, that the feeling of hurting yourself brings some kind of sensation to them and they do not want to end their lives. But there are some babies that do want to end their lives, or they say that and they're not sure if they mean it. Please get your baby's help if they are showing any of these symptoms. Please make sure that you are on top of their school resources and outside resources as well. But school resources is a really good place to start. I can't speak for all schools, but we have Hillcrest, which is a network for help. They do medication management for students with ADHD and students with emotional difficulties. They have counselors and people that come out and talk to the kids. They have social workers that are assigned to them that come to see them weekly, those type of things. So if you have concerns about your babies, please reach out to make sure you get them some kind of help, just so you can be on top of everything that is happening with them. Next slide, please. I know this is kind of heavy, I apologize, but things to keep in mind. I was on call this past week in DC public schools, on call, meaning that if there is a crisis that happens, I am sent out. I had 2 weeks this school year where I was on call. The first week, nothing happened. Last week, Wednesday night, a young lady, a 14-year-old who attended Kelly Miller Middle School, was at a friend's house playing with a loaded gun. She accidentally shot herself in the chest and passed away. What they were doing was a TikTok trend. They were online playing with social media things. And unfortunately, all of this was on TikTok Live. So people saw this young lady in her life. They saw her friend who didn't realize that she shot herself start laughing. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't an intentional laugh. The young lady shot herself and hit the floor. She didn't realize that her friend shot herself and thought it was a oopsie, a gun malfunction. Ha ha ha, whoo, and bust out laughing. The young ladies were participating in drug use. These are 13 and 14-year-old eighth graders participating in drug use. They had cannabis, marijuana all over. They were rolling up to smoke. And after she realized her friend was bleeding, she was stuck and decided to try to pick up. She didn't want to get in trouble. She didn't want anyone to come inside and see that they had drugs out. It was a lot. So the young lady lost her life. The young lady whose friend she was at, her life is forever changed. There are people threatening her because they called saying that she's not a real friend. It is so important to check in with your children and social media. It is so important to make sure that your children have a life and an identity outside of social media, because there are so many wild things on there that look like, oh, that's something we could try. Maybe we could do this. Please don't. But there's also so many babies. I have one little baby who always wants to be in that group that comes to my office in the mornings, but she's always in trouble. My girls don't often get in trouble, and when they do, they owe me a day. So I do lunch and recess with fifth grade as well. So when they lose recess individually, not as a class, but when they have done something to lose recess, they owe me a day. You can't come to my office tomorrow, sweetheart. I can't, because we have an agreement that you're going to do what you're supposed to do. I often have meetings in the morning, so they're left in my office without me. So I have to be able to trust that you're going to do the right thing. So if you're on a trend where you're not doing the right thing, you can't come with me tomorrow. This baby hasn't been able to give me a week without losing recess. And when talking to her mom, I said, Mom, I think she's looking for friends. She's trying to find her group and she's struggling. Her mother said, oh, I know my child. You know how they say that if somebody jumps off the cliff, are you going to jump? My baby's jumping, because it's easier to jump with everybody else than to be on top of the cliff by yourself. She does not want to be on top of the cliff by herself. She doesn't want to do the right thing and be alone and doing the right thing while everybody else looks like they're having fun and danger. And she knows that about her child. Now, if she's taking action on it, I am not sure. But with that new information, I'm trying to bring that particular baby in a bit more. But it is really important to figure out who your child is, what they're into. And just like Colleen said, you have to have your riders. Your children need to be around people who are good people. There are some children that your child will save their life because your child is a really good kid. They have friends that don't do the right things or don't make the best choices, and they will have a positive influence. But please be mindful and do not allow for your child to be the one looking for a positive influence. We have to be our children's positive influence. The school, the church community has to be our child's positive influence. We have to make sure that we align them with opportunities to succeed and to be strong and confident on their own, so they're not looking toward social media or looking for those friends that have complete freedom. That baby that passed, she didn't have anybody. She had a brother and a father. Her father is really strict. Her mother is incarcerated. She literally didn't have too much to pull on. Her brother is the same age as her, and that following day, 8 o'clock in the morning, her brother was at school. He was at school a half an hour early because he decided that home was too rough. I need to be at school with my friends and people who love me. Thursday was a rough day. Thursday was a rough day. However, it really helped for me in my head to finish up this presentation. And I sent this presentation from the middle school when I was there with the students, helping them through this hard time. But it is really, really important that we are pushing our babies to be confident in their own rights and to be as whole as they can be, to be very well grounded through God and prayer, to make sure that when things come, that their resilience is built up so they can deal with the chaos and the stresses of life, because those beginning building blocks will help to mold them for the rest of it. After they are good and stabilized, have fun, go experience things, but we got to get them there first. We have to get them there. Next slide, please. So next, I have quite a few resources. I found this website called therapy8.com. They have a lot of cognitive-based therapy tools and tricks, distressing-based therapy tools and tricks. Go to the next slide, please. All right, so this is one that I like, is thinking errors. It is a lot on this sheet, and I'm not going to read them all because it's a lot, and I see the time is going. But it's ways to kind of check yourself. And after you check yourself, you can help to check your babies. It's really easy to ignore the good. You tend to gravitate towards what you've been exposing yourself to. Just like Colleen said, with watching Real Housewives, Baddies, or those kind of things that have a lot of negativity and a lot of stress to it, it's easy to start looking for problems. If you look for a problem, I promise you, you will find it. So this will help you to come back into it, blow up thinking, catastrophizing when things are a much bigger deal than what they really seem. It helps you bring it down. Fortune telling, I already know they're going to say no. I already know what's going to happen. No, you don't. Take a minute, breathe it out. Same thing with my reading, pretty similar. Negative labeling, I suck. I'm stupid. I'm not really good at this. You don't even know. Pick up your pencil, try it out. So different ways to help. Next slide, please. Oh, by the way, all these sheets are from therapy8.com. I'm going to actually type that in a second. So it can be there for somebody to write down if they don't remember. 3 different ways of thinking. Another way to help to check yourself and bring yourself back together. Are you a reasonable mind, an emotional mind, or a wise mind? Reasonable mind represents all those rules that we set. An emotional mind is almost no rules. The wise mind kind of helps you to break the rules appropriately. So you can bring in both what needs to be done logically and what feels good and make them work together for yourself. Next slide, please. Thoughts, feelings, actions, they all work together. The word says, from the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. What you do, what you say, what you feel kind of all go hand in hand. It goes together, but it typically starts with your thoughts. For a man, think of it in his heart, so is he. You have to make sure that you have your mind together first, because what you think definitely has an impact on how you feel, and you will almost always act out of your feelings and not out of what you know to be appropriate or right or logical, because it's easier to go with your heart. That's why you got to kind of get your mind together to train it correctly. Next slide, please. I found this and I absolutely loved it. It's another way to check your boxes I was speaking about earlier. Improve. Imagery. What does it look like? Meaning, what does it mean? Prayer, let me pray on it first. Relaxation, because that's important. One thing of the movement is these are all ways to distress and get yourself together. Vacation. So vacation is not like, an actual vacation, but give yourself a break because you scheduled yourself some grace. You can take a minute or two to release, relax, relate, and then get back to it. And then encouragement. All of those boxes are important for success. Next slide, please. And this final one is what could happen versus what will happen. If you've ever seen the show This Is Us, I can't remember the couple's name, but the Black couple, they will play that game where they just catastrophize and everything goes bad and it's worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And when they get towards the end, it sounds really, really silly. And they're like, okay, yeah, no, you're right. Let's get it back together. So this is a worksheet similar to that will help you look at exactly what's happening, the possible possibilities, but also the part that you have in it, the control that you have to kind of curve your outcome. Next slide. That is all. Thank you so very much for the time and the opportunity. My slight apologies for the heaviness, but I do feel it really important to go to some of those different places because our babies really do struggle. And I think it's important to at least have some kind of insight on their struggles and to be able to bring them in sometimes. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you very much, Jasmine. Really appreciate that. This has been so empowering, at least to me personally, as both a parent. I know as you were walking through the various things to look out for, Jasmine, I'm like, ooh, yep, need to work on that. Super helpful for parents and for us just in general. All of those of us who interact with children, we have family members, really good topics. And yeah, heavy, but it's life, right? It's what we're really experiencing. So these are things that we need to talk about because I think the more we talk about them, the more we can prevent them from happening again. So thank you for being willing to share and to help us today. Thank you both, Colleen and Jasmine. This has been super empowering. I am indebted to both of you. We are for all that you guys have poured out to us. We put, I think, the link that you were referring to, Jasmine, in the chat, therapistaid.com. So check that out, guys, for resources. We do have both Colleen and Jasmine's information. If you guys needed to reach out to them, happy to share that. Thank you all for attending today. Ashley, did you want to say anything before we let folks go?
No, just thank you. I enjoyed both of you speakers. I got a lot out of it. I'm a teacher. So this is really helpful in my line. So just thank you. Powerful. And things I think even if we don't deal with kids, in both presentations for us to take with us on a daily basis. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or want to get some additional information. I hope you all enjoy your day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to
Wonderful
both of you.
session. Thank you
God
so
bless
much.
you.
Ready
Yeah.
so much.